Hello. Good evening. How are you? How you doing? Welcome once again to my channel. Thanks for joining in. I celebrate you. Thanks for creating time out to actually listen to me. Thanks a whole lot. I celebrate you. Yesterday we discussed 7 ways to build courage, and I believe you enjoyed that. And of course, I believe that you are working on that already. And we are taking that a step further today. And I'll be sharing a thought with you that I titled Courage in Creating Wealth. Courage in Creating Wealth. Now, we need to understand what wealth is all about before we discuss courage to creating wealth. Now, if you don't know what wealth is all about, you might be creating another thing that is different entirely from wealth. The first thing is this: wealth is not just about money. So, when we talk of wealth, it's not about the physical thing we can see alone, it's not just about money. So, courage, as I'll be discussing, is not just about creating money. No, it's more than that. Of course, money comes into it in a way, and I need to say that money is a bonus to wealth. You will get to understand this more as we forge ahead. Now, let's go by a way of defining wealth. I would take the definition of wealth from the definition of health. According to the World Health Organization, health is a state of complete well being and not merely just the absence of disease and infirmity. Just look at that. When you define health, probably you will think that health is just about the absence of disease or an infirmity. But health is actually more than that. It has to do with a complete well being, a state of complete well being. It has to do with the mind, the soul, the body, and all that. In fact, emotions and all, just mention it. So that means that we have several people out there that are not sick in their body. They don't have malaria, they don't have sepsis, they don't have probably pneumonia or something, but they are still not healthy. For instance, some people may be depressed, some may have issues with their spouse, and that on its own, they are not healthy because they are not in a state of complete well-being. Are you getting it? So when we define health in that respect, then wealth comes into play too. Like if we say health is not just the absence of disease or infirmity, of course, likewise, wealth is not just the presence of money. I hope you get that. So, wealth is not just the presence of money, wealth is actually more than that. And we would look into the different types of wealth. We have, I will mention about 5 of them. We have spiritual wealth, we have wealth in the mind, wealth in the body, we have social wealth, and of course, generational wealth. And in a way, when we talk of spiritual wealth, it has to do, we do know that humans, we are spirit beings, and of course, we have wealth in our spirit. That is why we have capacity to do awesome things. Because in fact, what we see in the physical realm, that is in this realm that is tangible, actually comes from an intangible world. We do say that anything that is created is actually created twice. There's a creation that comes from that which we do not see. It might be in the form of your thoughts, ideas, and all that. The first of all emanates as ideas before we see them in this realm. I read about Disney. When the structure was done, he was actually dead before they completed the structure that he dreamt about. And a young man wanted to introduce the wife and said, "Oh, we're sorry that Disney could not see what he has actually created. it's kind of unfortunate that he is dead. When the wife came on the podium, the wife actually said that, you guys, you are the one just saying it. The man that was dead was the first to actually see it. He had seen it before you guys saw it. So the guy has actually seen it. He has seen it before. He conceived the idea. He conceived the structure, and he actually worked on it before we can see it in this tangible world. So we have spiritual wealth. We have wealth in the mind. Okay, the mind. We have wealth in the body, that is sound health in terms of the body not sick. Okay, now we have social wealth, and of course generational wealth. So we would look at courage in these different forms of wealth. Now, when it comes to your mind, you need courage and discipline to be wealthy in your mind. This is important. There is this verse that says that out of the abundance of the mind speaketh the mouth. You see, in the mind, there is wealth in the mind. There is an abundance in the mind. And that is why the Holy Book says that we should keep our mind or heart with diligence, because out of it flows the issues of life. That means that when it comes to the mind, it's wealthy. There's wealth in the mind. Now you can decide to create wealth in your mind or not. You can decide to create value in your mind or otherwise. And of course, it takes courage, it takes discipline to actually create wealth in your mind. We were talking about courage, that it's not the absence of fear, but it's what you do with fear. Okay, so you need courage, you need discipline to even say no to habits that corrupts the mind. You need courage in that life. You need courage to say no to a friend, that wouldn't allow you add value or create wealth at the level of your mind. You need courage to that. And of course, we have seen 7 ways in which you can build courage. So you need to work via those ways and build courage that is enough to actually create wealth in your mind. And when it comes to the body, likewise, you need courage to say no to habits that corrupts or destroys the body. There are some habits that wouldn't make you wealthy in the body. In fact, we do know that some people, they have money, they have wealth, but they have money, they have physical resources, but they are sick. They are sick in their body. That means as far as wealth in the body is concerned, they are poor. And of course, we have people that in one area they are wealthy, and of course in another they are not. But we have seen that those that are actually wealthy in their spirit, that are wealthy in their mind, which is the thought capacity, which is the seat of thoughts, in a good number of times, the wealth flows to their body and flows to the other aspect of wealth. So when we talk of wealth in your body, you actually need courage, you actually need discipline to create wealth in your body, and of course to create wealth in your mind. Now, in your body, you need courage to say no to habits that destroys the body. For instance, cigarette smoking, it's not healthy. Of course, it's not healthy to the body. So you need courage to be able to say no if you are found in such an habit. And of course, if you engage in other forms of habit that actually destroys your body or probably corrupts your mind, you need courage to say no, and you need courage to stand by that particular decision. Okay, that is very important. And of course, it's possible you are poor as touching your body, which means that it's possible you are sick as touching your body. And of course, here now you need courage to be able to stand out. Now, courage and faith to restore your sick body. And of course, we mentioned the other time that building courage, faith too has to come into play. We mentioned knowledge, we mentioned acknowledgement, that's acceptance of knowledge. And now we mentioned faith when we were dealing with ways in which you build courage. So if you are sick in your body, you need to seek knowledge. in terms of having wealth in your body, in terms of having good health as touching your body. And of course, you need to accept that knowledge, believe it, and act on it. Of course, we mentioned the place of confessions, we mentioned the place of prayers. All this helps your faith and helps your courage. It makes you stand even in the face of poverty in your body. We have seen people that live with cancer and they do well. In fact, you wouldn't know that they have cancer. Okay, they do well, they interact well, they did not allow the sickness to actually affect their other areas of life. That did not affect their influence. In fact, some of them climbed on the wing of the sickness to actually soar, to actually fly high, to impact and influence their generation. So you need to actually, it's courage. Just imagine someone was told that he or she has maybe a year more to live. That, come on, you need to tidy up your stores, because I don't think you will live more than a year looking at the prognosis of this sickness or this disease. Now that individual has two things. Two things comes into play: fear of death, and from that individual can tug his head under the pillow. But another can, right in the face of fear, be courageous enough to climb on the wing of that sickness, to impact other people, to encourage other people. And in fact, even if they die, following the sickness, they will not be forgotten, because many people would have come back to life through them. They would have given many people sense of life or meaning to life. So you need courage in this respect, and it's actually very important. Just imagine climbing on this to influence people. Don't you think that that is wealth on its own, which is more than money? And in fact, many a times, even the money, they don't plan for it, it comes as a bonus or a byproduct to their courage to some of these things. Now, you need courage likewise to social wealth. That's the fourth form of wealth that I have mentioned. Okay, I've mentioned spiritual wealth, I've mentioned wealth in the mind, I've mentioned wealth in the body. Now, the fourth is wealth, social wealth. Now, of course, you need wealth to create social wealth. When we talk of social wealth, we are social being, and it has to do with our interaction with one another. It can be your interaction with your spouse, with your children, with people at work, with your neighbors, and so on and so forth. And in fact, your interaction with the global world. Yeah, your interaction with the global world. This is social wealth. Some people are wealthy as touching this, while some are very poor as touching social wealth. How are you able to maintain a relationship? Do you have people of influence in your coordinates? Are you, of course, an individual likewise that is wealthy in this respect? And you need to actually create this form of wealth. You need to actually create that. It's actually very important. And one of the ways to actually create social wealth is to be courageous enough to create this wealth. For instance, one of the reasons why people are poor as touching social wealth is the fear of being insulted. Some people are just damn afraid of being insulted, so they can't even talk to a colleague at work. They are like, come on, I can't speak, I'm afraid. They might tell me that my English is bad or not good enough. That's fear. Okay, fear of being insulted. And in fact, this fear on its own can also disguise as pride. Pride, there's a form of pride that is subtle, in which you don't want to be corrected. You feel insulted, you feel hurt when another person corrects you. And that's pride. You need to be courageous enough to handle that fear, to face that fear, and deal with it once and for all. Do you get it? Now, another reason why people are poor as touching social relationships, as touching social wealth, is low self-esteem. And of course, this is another form of fear. Fear is like the universal set. And we now have different we have subset, under the universal set, which is fear. Low self-esteem is a form of fear, and I've mentioned that pride too. Is a part of pride can be a form of fear too. So low self-esteem. You need to come out of that low self-esteem. You need to be courageous enough to face it. I mentioned the other time, that was in my last broadcast, that failure, you need to know how to define failure. Failure, it's not failure until you accept that you have failed. Many people, they have failed before they even started out, because they have accepted failure. And we have several people trying different things out there. They don't accept failure. When you don't as when you refuse to accept failure, you keep pushing, you keep trying, you keep giving it another push. You will get to the success line, and you need to take note of that. Okay, so people are unable to speak to other people, they are unable to interact, because they don't have courage in themselves. So you need to have courage, you need to believe in yourself. Okay, and you need to turn deaf ears to anything anyone says about you. They do not define you. You need to be courageous enough to stand by your word. And may I say that you need to be courageous enough to stand by your decision and accept the consequence of your decision. I made a decision sometimes ago, and I told my spouse, my wife, I said, I'm happy I made this decision, and I'm happy that I was able to receive the consequence of that decision. That is it. And that is courage on its own. And of course, the last which I will mention is generational wealth. And of course, when we talk of generational wealth, we are talking of wealth that transcends you, that transcends the span of time you will spend on earth. And that's it. The Holy Book, the Bible says that a good man leaves an heritage for his children's children. That is, in fact, the ultimate of it all. Leaving a legacy, leaving an heritage, leaving wealth for generations to come. You understand? Heritage for generations to come. Of course, if you need to leave a generational wealth, or you need to acquire a generational wealth, that means that your goal and idea must transcend you. It must be bigger than you. And of course, if your ideas and what you look for is bigger than you, then you need courage to actually achieve that idea or that goal. And believe you me, if you achieve this form of wealth, money is a bonus. you know Physical resources is a bonus, and in fact you will use the resources well, because you have an end point in mind. So if money comes into play, that's not the time. In fact, you wouldn't think of using the money wrongly. You most likely you will use the money to push the idea or the goal further, so that it will transcend more, to reach out to more generations after you. I believe you get that. Generational wealth can only be achieved with great ideas, and great ideas come with great fears. That's it. Just imagine if you need to have a structure, or you need to create something that transcends you, or that meets millions, that transcends your nation, that transcends your continent. Of course, that will come with great challenges, and with great challenges comes great fears. And of course, with great fears, you need great courage to be able to achieve and act on that particular idea of yours that transcends generations. I believe you are with me. So, courage in creating wealth. You need courage to actually create wealth. And I encourage you today that you go to the drawing board, and all that goals of yours, work on them, act on them. Don't be afraid. Okay, you need to be courageous enough to actually work on them. I believe that you enjoy this resource, I so much time. We'll catch some other time. I believe you enjoyed that. I will just share some other resources with you. I have some books that you can actually check out on my store. I have some books that you can actually check out on my store. Okay, I want to share I want to share my screen so that you can actually see that. Okay, just give me a moment so that you can see some of the books that I have for you. Okay, just a moment. Okay, I think you have it. You have it. Okay, that's it over there. This particular book, that's the SWOT analysis of a leader. Okay, it's free. Just go via that link. Okay, let me share the link here too so that you can just, but that's it on top of the book over there, so you can just copy the link, go through and get the book. That's the link over there, so just visit the store and enjoy that book. This particular book has gotten more than 1,000 downloads, and I've gotten testimonials about the SWOT analysis of a leader. Now, this is another book, How to Live Above Circumstances. You get it over there. Just check the store. With this book, there are practical ways in which you can live above circumstances, how to be in control. And of course, this is a form of wealth on its own, how to live above circumstances. I have some other books on writing and some other stuff. In fact, even devotional. So you can either check my store or you go on Amazon and other global book outlets. You get the books over there. Thanks for listening. Do subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click on the subscribe button and don't forget to click on the notification button so that you will get more resources from me. Of course, you can join my Telegram group. There are resources waiting for you over there. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Thanks for joining. God bless you. Thank you.